Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 transformation finally happens in episode 12 of Dragon Ball Daima. First, let's tell you how it happened. In Dragon Ball Daima, unfortunately, Vegeta and Piccolo were having few moments of prominence in episode 11. We had the opportunity for Piccolo to play his role, and more secrets about the Namekians are revealed as soon as Neva finds them. Neva, the Namekian creator of the Makai world's Dragon Balls, introduces himself to them as an old geezer. But Piccolo already realizes that it was a lie and tells him to stop because he knows that he was the one who released Shenlong and made them become children. Neva, seeing that her plan went wrong, stops pretending to be an old geezer and admits it. Piccolo was very important and even made Neva confess why he turned them into children. Then Neva asks to go with them to get the Dragon Balls together, but at first Ponzi says that there is no space. Then Neva, as always, uses another card and says that doing the ritual to request the Dragon Balls from the Makai world requires speaking the Namekians' native language, and Piccolo unfortunately doesn't know how because he lived most of his life in the Namekian language. Earth, then Neva is taken. After that, inside the ship, he reveals the reason for having created the spheres that were to be a kind of prizes for the most competent Namekians, and confesses that it was he who created the Tamagamis. And the reason for creating these guardians is because many Majin were using the spheres for futile and evil requests. So he created these beings much more powerful than the Majins to make it practically impossible for a Majin to conquer the spheres. Then only at the end of episode 11 that Vegeta finally begins to fight with the two-star Tamagami. That is, most of this episode gave more emphasis to Piccolo and the Namekians, thus making a great balance in the characters, each having their moment. Returning to Vegeta, he finds the Tamagami who is near the ocean and uses a trident as a weapon. We can even conclude that each Tamagami has a territory and element, with Tamagami 3 being the earth element, as he was able to cause tremors in the ground, and the third demonic kingdom is a world based on rocks, gases, and volcanoes. Tamagami 1's element and terrain is air, as we see that he is positioned right at the top of the first demonic kingdom, and most of the locations in the first kingdom are floating islands, and with that, Tamagami 2 is in the aquatic territory and dominates the water element, hence the use of the trident to allude to the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon. Moving forward a little, let's talk about the factor that made Vegeta transform into a Super Saiyan 3, which is the fight against Tamagami 2. Tamagami has no interest in fighting Vegeta because he thinks he's a simple child and tells him to go back to his mommy and suck her breasts. This moment was quite funny, but soon after, Tamagami looks closely and sees that Neva is with them, so he recognizes that it's something serious, and the fight begins very intense with exchanges of very proportional blows, but Tamagami 2 is in his territory. With his trident, he injures Vegeta's face, and we see blood in Dragon Ball, yes, something that was missing in Dragon Ball Super. Tamagami 2 knows the terrain much better, and he manages to give Vegeta a kick, who falls into the water, and who reappears is the Kraken that opens its mouth and swallows Vegeta, and thus ends episode 11. Episode 12 begins with Goku worried with Vegeta and starts calling soon after Kraken appears and vomits on Goku, and Vegeta manages to get out, and Goku thought he had been devoured. Vegeta says that this only happened because he didn't get used to a child's body, implying that if he were in adult form, Kraken would be nothing to him. After leaving the Kraken, Vegeta returns to fight, and King Goma, along with Dagetsu, is watching everything from the box and is very furious with the situation and shows fear of Vegeta winning. But while Goma and Dagetsu are watching Vegeta's fight, a strong tremor appears very close to him. He asks Dagetsu to check and discovers that the other fight against Tamagami, which is between Majin Buu and Tamagami 1. Finally, Arinsu managed to create a being with the essence of Majin Buu very similar to him, which is Majin Du, who proves to be very similar to Fat Buu, being silly and liking to eat chocolate. With that, Arinsu has a more effective weapon to defeat Tamagami 1 and not be embarrassed like he was with Majin Ku. And in this fight, Majin Du demonstrates that he really has Majin Buu's abilities such as regeneration and stretching, and having a soft body like gum, this gives him an advantage over Tamagami 1. Even though he is fat, he proves to be very fast in attacks and surrounds him. Tamagami 1 with Spin. Spin attack, where he shapes his body into a ball shape and spins through the air. At first Tamagami manages to dodge, but over time this attack becomes more intense and hits him. So Majin Du opens a big advantage over Tamagami 1, who even using his sword very well shows to be useless because Du's body is very soft and wraps itself around the sword, With that, he starts to make several attacks, launching green energy from his hands and several blows, and he quickly gets to Tamagami, and when he was going to punch him, he stops centimeters from his face, and Arinsu looks and does not understand, and he starts asking for chocolate, and throws himself on the ground like a naughty child and keeps asking for chocolate. With that, Majin Ku tries to show himself useful and runs to buy chocolate. But while Majin Du is throwing a tantrum, Tamagami 1 takes the opportunity to counterattack and picks Majin Du up from the ground and throws him against the wall right after he grabs the sword and goes on the attack at that moment, as Majin Du is without his chocolate, which is a kind of encouragement and fuel to fight. Instead of fighting, he starts to run away from the Tamagami 1 attacks. Now we return to Vegeta's fight against Tamagami 2, and recovering from almost being swallowed by the Kraken, Vegeta goes for it and now performs several attacks and gains the advantage. Tamagami 2 takes his trident to defend himself and hits Vegeta back, who goes back towards the Kraken. And when the Kraken was going to grab him again with his fangs, he transforms into a Super Saiyan and goes back towards Tamagami. Tamagami launches several blue energy blasts from above, always trying to throw Vegeta towards the Kraken. This fight is much more difficult for Vegeta than it was for Goku, because from above he receives an attack from Tamagami, and from below he is chased by the Kraken, and Vegeta is hit and falls again into the Kraken's mouth. But this time he doesn't let it go easily. He uses his Super Saiyan power inside the creature and starts releasing a Ki with several rays coming out of his body, generating a huge explosion inside the Kraken's mouth. It can't handle it and opens. With that, the Kraken gets sleepy and goes to rest in the sea. In this episode, we see again how the Super Saiyan transformation is well used and showing how the user becomes much stronger and more agile. The terror of the Super Saiyan against his enemies is back just like it was in the Z Saga. Returning to the fight now that the Kraken has given up, Vegeta can focus only on Tamagami and falls on top of him and manages to land a punch on Tamagami's head. Tamagami attacks, but Vegeta dodges and then kicks him in the face, and Vegeta is completely in the advantage over Tamagami 2. Even Pansy notices that Vegeta is winning, but not everything is rosy, and the Namekian sees the situation and uses his magic and increases Tamagami's power, and Glorio asks what he did. He answers that since Vegeta likes to fight, so he decides to help, and so Tamagami 2 transforms and has his body covered in a purple aura, and now he gains an advantage over Vegeta. He gives him a blow, throws him into the sea, where is the territory he has the most control, and attacks with his trident and uses a huge energy conducted by the trident that goes towards Vegeta, who tries to protect himself. And we return to another fight in the First Demonic Kingdom. Majin Du continues to flee from Tamagami 1 and receives several attacks from his sword, but for his salvation, Majin Ku arrives with chocolate and gives it to him, and now he gets super excited and even releases smoke through the holes like Majin Buu, and he performs several sequences of energy bursts produced by his mouth, and so Tamagami cannot defend himself and is seriously injured, and Goma, watching this fight, discovers that the one involved is Arinsu. Majin Du goes on the attack to defeat Tamagami once and for all, and Tamagami says, "Come on," and he manages to increase his power alone without Neva's help, and his body takes on an orange appearance as if it were emitting a high temperature, and goes after Majin Du with his sword to cut him, leaving Majin Ku and Arinsu worried. But as you know, Majin Du is extremely fast and dodges the attack in the last seconds, and thus gains an advantage again, emits a large green energy and hits the Tamagami 1, making him fall. And his sword too. Soon after, Majin Du finishes by making a triumphant pose, and the Tamagami gives up and says that he won, but he needs to go through the final challenge just like it was with Goku with the Tamagami 3. The Majin Du's challenge is to add up several numbers that he shows on a magic sphere that he creates. It is a sequence of several numbers that pass very quickly, some of which are 6-digit numbers. Seeing that, even Arinsu, who is very intelligent, cannot keep up and says that the Tamagami is cheating, and she says that it is impossible for anyone to get the result right. But the Tamagami doesn't give a damn about. Majin Du listens and tells Tamagami, and he asks the magic sphere to show the result, and it is right, and with that he wins the 1-star sphere. Arinsu Fita doesn't believe that he really got it right and celebrates, and then Majin Ku says that his help was good, and she replies that he didn't do anything, he just stood there. He tries to argue with her, but then accepts. With this, we can conclude that Majin Ku is not totally useless. He is extremely intelligent. He can do calculations that not even Arinsu is capable of, and Majin Du is the strength. If the two could unite, he would be the perfect warrior. But neither of the two showed to be capable of having Majin Buu's absorption ability, but maybe there is still a possibility that Du has. He just hasn't learned it yet. And Goma witnessed everything. He is very furious, but Degetsu tries to comfort him, saying that maybe Arinsu took the sphere so the invaders wouldn't take it. But Goma is not so stupid and doesn't believe it. Now he asks to go back to see Tamagami 2's fight, to know if the sphere there is at least safe. And we now return to the second demon realm in Vegeta's fight against Tamagami 2. And now Vegeta is at a total disadvantage before Tamagami 2's increased power. He tries to dodge the attacks, leaves the sea, returns to the air, but is thrown back into the sea where he receives a fatal attack that makes him faint and fall into the depths. But do you think it's over? Of course not. Vegeta wakes up furious and transforms into Super Saiyan 2, releasing all his Kai and sending Tamagami out of the sea. Vegeta continues to release more power, and we see his body getting stronger, and something miraculous happens. His hair continues to grow, and Vegeta shows his true power that not even Goku knew. Now, for the first time, Vegeta transforms into Super Saiyan 3. Goku asks how he did it. Bulma replies that he trained a lot alone in secret last year. In other words, we can conclude that Vegeta already knew how to transform into Super Saiyan 3, he was just waiting for the right time, just like Goku did in the Buu saga. And Vegeta's transformation is beautiful, slowly showing him being covered in lightning, something very imposing, and Vegeta's expression, and Tamagami sees it and already thinks about attacking Vegeta with a trident. He barely starts and Vegeta appears there in front of him quickly. We don't even feel if it was teleportation because it was so fast. And with his arms crossed, Vegeta just gives a kick and sends Tamagami into the water. When he gets into the water, Tamagami goes up, performing several very quick attacks with his trident, and Vegeta defends them with just one finger, then with one finger, making reference to the scene where future Trunks uses his sword against Goku. And right after he breaks Tamagami's trident, gives a kick that splits the sea, and attacks Tamagami with his arms crossed using only his legs. Then to finish, he uses Gallic Ho, hitting Tamagami head-on, and afraid of the attack, he can't hold it and throws it up. But without time to think, Vegeta is there again, and gives him a powerful punch that sends him up. Then Vegeta Friendly puts his hand on Tamagami's shoulder and says, "I give up." And now let's go to the challenge. Vegeta gets angry that he still has to get one question right, and so the Tamagami magically fixes his trident and does a magic that makes a paper with several questions appear. And so he chooses a story drawn on several pieces of paper. It looks like it was drawn by a child. And listening and seeing the story, Vegeta gets angrier, because it seems that the Tamagami continues to treat him like a child, and he becomes a Super Saiyan out of anger. And the story is about a demon boy named Johnny who received 15 cookies from his mother, and he goes for a walk and ends up distributing the cookies to several animals during his journey, and gives his last cookies to a snake. And in the end, the Tamagami asks him how many cookies the snake managed to eat, and Vegeta has 10 seconds to answer. And he gets really nervous, and Bulma says that Vegeta is not good at these math problems, and the seconds run out, and Vegeta answers that the snake does not eat with any cookie. Then the Tamagami asks him why, and Vegeta answers because snakes do not eat cookies. With that, Tamagami says the result, and Vegeta got it right. And Vegeta himself was surprised that he got it right, because in fact it was a guess, and he won the sphere and takes it. He continues making a cocky face. By the way, he is Vegeta. And Tamagami apologizes to Neva for not being able to protect the sphere, and Neva says that it's okay that he fought very well, and Tamagami returns to his post. Soon after, Goku asks him how he solved this problem, and he says that there were snakes on planet Vegeta, and Hybus admits that Vegeta is very strong and starts dancing to honor him in a very funny way. Vegeta gets embarrassed and tells him to stop. Hybus is the funniest and most... Then Goku offers a medicinal insect to Vegeta to recover his energy. He explains that it is the same as the seed of the gods. Vegeta comes full of disgust and says, "Don't eat insects." Then Goku says, "But you always ate animals." Vegeta says that now he has a more sophisticated palate. After that, they try to leave, but the ship won't start. Then Ponzi looks and sees that the problem was very simple. There were 2 cables that had been disconnected. I'm sure that Glorio himself did it on purpose, but then Ponzi connected the ship, it started working again, and now they set off for the first demon realm. And from the VIP area, Goma is watching everything and starts banging his staff on the ground in anger. Then he shows that Goma will prepare his last trap for them as soon as they get there, and the episode ends. In the preview of episode 13, which is called Surprise, we saw that Goma left some surprises for Goku and his allies. At first we see Goku being attacked by a giant creature, and then Goku and Vegeta are scared and they are shown surrounded by some kind of demonic killer hamsters. So how are they going to escape this ambush prepared by Goma? Leave your theory and opinion in the comments. So that's it, guys. Don't forget to like it, it's very important. Subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video.